And we're live. Thanks, guys, for joining us today. A lot of people already joining in. This is our 7th week of webinars at Mix with the Masters. We're being very lucky and honored to welcome a lot of producers and mix engineers, composers joining us every day to try to share a little bit of knowledge with you guys. We're trying to stay safe at home on lockdown. We want to answer a lot of questions today. A lot of questions are already in the chat. Don't hesitate, put your questions in the chat. Today, we're really, really honored to welcome an amazing songwriter and vocal producer and arranger and engineer as well. He's 5-time Grammy winning and Golden Globe Award winning. Today, we're joined by the amazing Kuk Harrell. How are you, Kuk?
I'm great, man. Thank you so much. How are you?
Great, great. Well, thanks. It's an honor to having you. We've got about an hour and already a lot of questions.
Yeah,
I think the
see.
floor is yours.
Oh man, thank you so much. I'm honored to be a part of this. It's such a great honor, and I'm so glad that everybody is asking so many great questions here. I'm seeing some great questions on the thing. And I'm hoping and praying that everybody is staying safe in this time of the coronavirus and all that. So I'm glad that we can do this and communicate, and I can share wisdom and just get great questions from you guys. So I'll go down this list, and if I mispronounce your name, please forgive me. But it's great because I'm seeing questions from all around the world. So like this is absolutely incredible. So let me go down the list here. Let's see. I have Connor Wallace. He says, "Hello, Kook. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm a huge fan of your work. What's your approach when starting production slash recording with such talent as Rihanna or JB? Greetings from Spain." Thank you so much, Connor. So I would say for me, the first thing that I do when I get asked to work with an artist, not just a legacy artist, but any artist, is I try to do my best at doing my homework. I call that my pre-production. I do my homework on the artist. I try to research as much as I can. Obviously listening to their records, seeing what's special about their voice, what characteristic that they have about their voice that makes them special, like the thing that people gravitate towards. So, I'll use Rihanna as a perfect example. She has a very, very, very special tone in her voice, and that's what people love. Other than her image, and aside from her image and all that stuff, the tone of her voice is just absolutely unique. So and as well, he asked about Justin Bieber, but it's also like Jessie J. She has a very specific tone about her voice. So I listen to the records, listen how I could try to figure out how I could enhance that tone, um, bring it out more. I listen to how they execute different lines, the feeling. I like to listen to see how they normally sit in a pocket of a groove, so that when we start working together, I'm actually enhancing. I'm not trying to change what they do, but I'm trying to enhance what they do and bring what the magic that I bring to the vocal production to them, and then we create this perfect marriage and create something that's game changing as far as like their performance of it. So I would say, so just to summarize that, it's doing my pre-production in regards to just their voice, what's special about their voice, and then as they come in, just embracing that and letting them be them, and then moving on. So see, my next question here is from, let's see, I'm gonna kind of just jump around uh with these questions. Man, Connor has another good one here. He says, "What has been your most challenging project and why?" Um, I've had challenging projects, but it has nothing to do with the artist or anything like that. It's challenging, I would probably say, just from a technical standpoint, and it actually challenges me and makes me have to grow in how I approach everything. I would say a challenge was when I did man, I could use I've got a couple. I could say, like I did last year, I worked with I was fortunate to work with Monsta X, their Korean pop group, and the challenge there was having to, because they didn't speak like great English, so my challenge was having to make sure that I could produce them on these records and pull out, make them sound like they spoke clear English, and but still capture the magic of the song, and all that. The other challenge was that there's actually 7 of them in the group, so I have to cut 7 people on one record. And the other challenge was that we didn't have a lot of time. So like all the guys would show up to the studio. We already had it mapped out who was going to sing what. And I had to make sure that I probably had like an hour with each one of the singers. So I had to make sure that I could get the right performance, get a superstar type performance, make sure they sounded great sonically, make sure it was amazing. Also, make sure their English was clear. So because they're breaking up, doing their project here in the States, so it was really important that the English sounded great. So that was a huge challenge, and it was just challenging for me, and I really love those challenges because it helps me to learn how to just corral all my skills and to just stay on top of getting things done very quick, high quality, and high quality, and just making sure that stuff is can compete industry wise. So hope that makes sense, Connor. Thank you for those 2 great questions. Let's see, what do we have here? So this question is from High K Star Music. His question is, what are your go-to plugins you can't live without? Greetings from Liverpool, by the way. You the best. Thank you so much, High K Star Music. Man, my go-to plugins that I mean, I won't say I can't live without, but ones that I love that are in the foundation of every one of my sessions it's really simple. When I set up my template, I use the Renaissance EQ. I think it's a 6-band Renaissance EQ. The Renaissance compressor that's always in my vocal chain. So like in my chain in Pro Tools, which so it always has auto tune, Renaissance EQ, and the Renaissance compressor. So with auto tune, obviously, because we're in this day to where everybody wants the pitch to be totally on point. Got the auto tune up there, Renaissance EQ, compressor. Then with that, my other plugins, my effects are just the regular Renaissance reverb and the Renaissance delay. So with the delay, what I'm doing is I'm just splitting it like quarter or eighth, quarter on one side, eighth on the other side. And for me, I keep it really simple. I use those simple plugins because I don't want to have to do a whole bunch of routing. Because if a lot of times I've gotten sessions from people and they have so much routing in their sessions, they're creating effects and all that stuff is cool, but I like to wait to do all that stuff after I've captured the vocal, because what happens is if I'm focusing on all the tricks and trying to make sure that the EQ is a certain way and boom, 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 and all this stuff, I'm not really focusing in on the production of the vocal. So for me, like my theory is I'm in the detail business with that vocal. And my goal is to make a vocal that is going to be game changing, life changing. So I want to make sure that I keep my foundation simple, and then any detail and any kind of tricks that I want to do, I make sure that I capture that within the vocal. So it's not about the plugins, it's all about that vocal performance, making sure that I'm digging in, catching all the phrases, all that stuff that makes a great performance. Thank you so much, Hi K Star, for that question. Let me go down here. Curtis Douglas. His question is, I have found that loud singers up close can overload mics at the capsule, or the mic overloads the pre input, even with pads. Any particular mics or suggestions, on how to mitigate this issue. You know, for me, um, it's I always say it's really simple. You know, of course, you need to pick the proper mic to fit the voice, the voice that you're using. But even when you do that, if you still have that thing where they're overloading the capsule, then that means 9 times out of 10, from my experience, the vocalist doesn't know the technique of working the mic. You know, I say this all the time. If they're singing something, they're singing it really soft, singing a really soft part, and then it goes into the hook and it's louder. If they're continuing to stay right here, then that's when I go into the mode like very quickly and be like, yo, work that mic for me. And work that mic means like it's simply singing soft. When you get loud, you rear back because you need to compensate for, you know, for not blowing that capsule out and overloading the signal. So it's just basically working the mic, and it's like a dance. It's like singing soft, singing soft, singing soft. So learn, have your artist, you learn it for yourself so you know how that works, and then teach your artist the art of, you know, the dance of working the microphone technique. Let's see, what do we have here? Let's see. Let's see. This is, I'm sorry, Josu Torres. Please forgive me for mispronouncing your name. Hey, Kuk, at what point did you know that Josh Goodwin was going to become the next engineer for Justin Bieber? How did you make that how did you make that transition work? Man, that's a great question. And I want to send a shout out first and foremost, because he's in this question, to Josh Goodwin, who Josh was my engineer for many years before he became Justin's main engineer and producer and co-writer and all that stuff. Let's see. I knew that Justin was going to be, I knew that Josh was going to be Justin's engineer. Like, we were actually on the road working on Rihanna's album. We would go out on the road. I would be out. Josh would be here at home in LA. And as I was out, Justin had got to a point where he wanted to get back in the lab. I was on the road, and he called Josh. He was like, "Yo, can you know?" From what I know, he called Josh. Was like, "Yo, can you come and cut me?" And boom, 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 boom. I'm gonna get in the studio. And Josh was like, "Of course." And Josh came to me and said, "Yo, I might be doing JB's next album, or, you know, JB asked me to come in. Do you mind?" I was like, "No, absolutely not." So, I mean, at that point, that's when I knew that he was going to be working with Justin. And internally, I knew that he was going to do amazing things because Josh is an absolute incredible engineer. I had the privilege of working with him and being a mentor to him, just in the sense of how to be in the room and how to just deal with client, you know, not deal with clients, but how to relate with clients and just be a great presence in the room and not overstate your presence and stuff like that. And beyond that, Josh has an amazing ear. I remember the first time I heard just how he treated vocals, and, you know, vocals that I was cutting and with the artist that I was working with, and how he would do a rough mix. I knew at that point that he was a very special talent, and was destined to do great things. So shout out to Josh. And also I'll give him another shout out, and I'll also shout out my great buddy Jason Joshua, who's a phenomenal mix engineer. And I'm shouting them out because they're the ones that connected me with Mix with the Masters, and got me here with you guys here today. So shout out to the both of them. All right, let's see here. We Messiahneth Oak. Messiahneth Oak. Let's see. His question is: I read in your Sound on Sound interview that you track with Renaissance EQ or our compressor. How different do the vocals sound from the tracking process and once you put your vocal mix on it? They actually, let's see. When I'm tracking it, you know, it's not that different, because what I want to do, what I always try to do is, I think that what happens is as you're starting to listen to stuff and A&R start to hear it and A&R and management and the artists there are actually listening to stuff as you're tracking it or whatever. If everybody's there, everybody starts to get demo-itis. So for me, I try to, and my thing is I look at vocal production, I look at what I do as a vocal producer as I'm sharpshooting. I don't have a lot of time to be, we don't have a lot of time to experiment. So I already know what it's supposed to sound like. It's supposed to sound crisp. It's supposed to sound uh, punchy. It's supposed to sound lively, and it's supposed to sound emotional. So what I'm doing as I'm tracking, I'm making sure that I carve out that I'm not carving those things out with the EQ and with the effects and all that stuff. I'm actually creating the passion and the tone and all that stuff within the performance. So if I have an artist that's singing something, and when I have an artist that's singing something, and if I need something to be edgy, I actually have them sing it edgy. So if I need a bright brittle tone, I'll be like, you know what? Just kill it. The way I have my communication. So like, and they're seeing how I respond. So I'm going, you know what? Give that thing to me like real edgy. Make it aggressive or make it urgent. So how I'm relaying the message, they're understanding it because they see my body language. So they're giving me all that. So by the time we get done with that session, I have all the emotion created with the performance, and then at that point, I go in and I start dialing in the EQ and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's not a huge difference. Like I may, when I get to the point to where I'm doing the rough mix or the mix of it, it may be a little bit more punchy because the thing is, I want a great performance. And I also don't want to do so much work that when I hand the files off to the producer, he has to deconstruct what I did. Or when I hand the files off to the mix engineer has to decompress. I want to make sure that I hone in on that performance. Everything is clean, no pops and clicks, no bad crossfades, to where when I hand that session off, it's it's clean, and I want to make the job for the next person in the assembly line to be easy. So there isn't a huge difference in the sound. Uh, I just make sure that it's clean and that that performance has um, the emotion that I need on there. Cool. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, I saw a question in here earlier that I thought was pretty freaking dope. All right, this question is from David Paula. It says, "Hi, Kook. Thank you for doing this. You're welcome, David. Can you explain your process to get the most emotion slash magic in a performance?" Yes. So for me, I'm gonna try to explain this. This is how I have it in my head, and it kind of comes out in the performance, in the production part of it. But I see it as, I see a record as a timeline. So a record is generally like, whatever, like 352 or something like that. So for me, I I see it like this. The record always starts out soft, and it goes on a ride emotionally. So starting here, at the beginning of the record, of course, it's chill, verse, chill, 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 chill. It starts growing. B section starts opening up a little bit. Chorus, it's wide open. Second verse, back down. So for me, it's like it like has an emotional timestamp. So by 2 minutes and 54 seconds or 2 minutes into the song, emotionally, that performance is supposed to have a passion for me. There should be a connection there to where I'm feeling it. I don't have to look at it. I don't have to look at the time stamp of it. But at that particular point, my emotions are telling me, yes, that feels right. that performance is supposed to feel like this at this point. So for me, that's what I'm going off of as I'm building a performance, a vocal performance in the production. Like I'm going completely off of that emotion, and of course I'm listening to the lyrics and stuff like that melodically. All those things are supposed to have certain emotions at those points. So that's what I'm going on. I make fun of myself a lot too, and a lot of people make fun of me because just because when I'm cutting a vocal, I'm really not listening to the lyric. Like I'm completely going on emotion, and I rely on the artist. Like, of course, the artist will always go, "Yo, I'm singing the wrong lyrics." They're like, "Oh yeah, you are." Boom, 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 boom. But I'm not really fixated on the lyric. I'm fixated on that emotion because that's what everybody's going to connect with. Like the consumers can, of course, they're connecting with those lyrics. It's a whole. They're connecting with the lyrics, but they're also connecting with that emotion. So you can have the wrong emotion in the wrong point of a song, and at that point, that's when people go, that doesn't sound right. The consumer doesn't know how to explain that, but they will. That's at that point they'll just go, I don't like that record. Turn it off. So hope that's helping you out. I believe it is. I know it is, but we'll go. Let's go for another question. Let's see. Isaiah Jones. Hey, Isaiah. Hey, Kuk. Isaiah Jones from Chicago. Hey, my hometown. As a vocal producer, which artist did you have the most fun producing and why? Man, it's the most fun. Man, because that's a hard one to answer, to specify, like, because there's different levels to every session and every artist. And for me specifically, I do what I do because I love doing what I do. So it's not about a particular session or artist being fun. One of my goals as a vocal producer is because everything that I'm doing and everything that we're carving out together, me and the artist, all has to do with emotion. My main thing is I just want to have fun. Like I want to do what I do. I feel like I know that I'm blessed to do what I do, to make a living doing what I do, make a living being creative and coming in the studio, getting to interact with people, amazing talent. So my whole thing is like this is an amazing journey and this is a fun time. So every time I come into the studio, it's a great time. So that's the foundation of it. So if I had to like kind of pick some out, I would say I always have fun. Um, oh, it always have fun when we do Rihanna sessions, all the time, um, because we've all worked together for some. There's an amazing we have an amazing team, and we've all been together for man, I like 10 years. So those sessions are always great because it's family, like it's all family, and there's a lot of us, and we all rely on each other to do what we do. Other really fun sessions are like I have great sessions with Jesse J. We laugh the whole time. So, and it's not just those sessions, those two artists, it's all of the artists that I work with because I bring as a vocal producer, I call myself a gatekeeper. So one of my main things other than along with capturing a great vocal performance is making sure that I bring the right vibe to the room and bring the right vibe to the environment so that when the artist comes in, they feel completely comfortable and relaxed to come in and just be who they are, to make mistakes, to be upset, to work through all that. Like one of the most fun things that I love is when I get in with an artist for the first time, an artist that I've never met before, and we're under all of these constraints to get the record recorded, and we only got such amount of time or a small amount of time. I love the challenge of all of the different things that go into us being able to get something magical. So the artist will come in, I won't know them, they don't know me, we don't know anything about each other, but me being able to do what I do and let my approach, my people skills relate to them, have them let their guard down to go, oh, okay, this guy's all right. This dude is cool. I think we might be able to do something. And then once they let their guard down, then we're gelling. And then we'll spend some time together. It's like, all right, you ready? You want to jump in and do something? And then they're like, yeah, cool, let's go ahead and do it. So that stuff is fun to me, like that challenge of getting to know people and getting through all that stuff. Because most people would actually go, yo, this session is going to be a nightmare. And when, or if the artist comes in and the artist is cranky or edgy about whatever is going on outside the walls of the studio, they come in and they bring that. Like, part of my job is to diffuse all that so we can get to get some magic created. So I like that tension. So, going back to your question, Isaiah, uh, which artist did I have the most fun with? I have fun with all of them. And I think that as a vocal producer, that should be your approach, for all up and coming vocal producers or vocal producers. Your approach should always be, I say this about myself, be an empty canvas, so that when the artist comes in, they feel that you're not, they don't feel like you're trying to drive them to go in your direction. They feel and sense that you are wanting to partner with them, to flow with them, so that you capture something that's going to be groundbreaking and game changing. Cool. That was good. That was a good one. I like it. Let's see who we got here. Let's see, Rudy. Um, Aston Rudy. Big love, Kuk. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. How much time do you spend on post production when producing a vocal? Things like timing, melodyne, or volume uh, on specific words. So once I get that that's a great question, Aston. Once I get that vocal, or once I'm done capturing all the information that I need, um, I will spend however much time it takes to get it to sound like and feel like what I'm hearing in my head. Um, so that's one part of it. The other part of it is making sure that it sounds like, and we have enhanced what the demo is. So what I mean by that is, uh, because I'm a vocal producer, um, I get the song is already completed when I get it. So the demo is done, and you have I see it like this. By the time the song gets to me, it has already gone through such an approval process to even get to the point to where it's being cut officially. So that means label the label heads have heard it, the management have heard it. Most importantly, the artist approved and said, I want to cut that record. um, that means that there's something about that record that's special. So what I mean by that, there's magic already there. My job as a vocal producer with this artist is to enhance that magic that's already there. It's not to change the magic that's on the record. It's just to enhance the magic that's there. So I'm saying that so that you understand that, when I go into my post production, it's not to make it sound like I hear it in my head. What I'm hearing in my head is what that demo has laid out. So my job is to make sure that the artist that I'm cutting, that I'm producing, sounds like that artist, but their characteristic, their emotion, their vibe is singing that record, but it sounds like that record. Like, we didn't change timing, we didn't change notes, like, we're not trying to rewrite the record. We didn't change where breaths are from the demo singer, where rest and all that stuff are. We didn't change any of that stuff. So when I go into post production, I'll use as much time as I can. A lot of times, so for me, the way I track, I'm actually, even though I'm catching a lot of different takes in the playlist, I'm still comping at the same time. So by the time I get done with the record, with the artist, I already have a general comp that I know is the one. So now when I go back to my post production, I'm now I'm just cleaning up crossfades. I'm really going in on detail. If I didn't like the way the word "the" sounded that time, and if there was another way that if the didn't actually fit how the demo singer sang it, now I start going through my playlist looking for the one that matches, and it's always there. So I'll use as much time. So if I had to break down, because I'm doing my work throughout the process of my comp, throughout the process of recording, what I'm doing is sharpshooting so that my post production um, is less time, and then my productivity I can double my productivity. So it's all about working smart. It's all about, in this mode of it, just do what you got to do, comp it, learn how to hear the right stuff. Don't just cut a bunch of random stuff, because here's a mistake a lot of people make. They'll cut a lot of information in their mind, and they're thinking that they're relying on the tools of post production to make a performance. Don't do that. Like, get the performance, get the information that you need, so that when it's time, and keep drilling in with the artist on that thing. Oh, I need you to sing forever like this. Now sing forever like this. Now sing forever like this. And then at this point, you now have 10, 15 different options of a line and of the word forever. So, but it's in the right neighborhood. So don't make the mistake of relying on the post-production gear, meaning tuning, melodyne, time stretch, vocal line, all that stuff. Don't rely on that stuff to give you what you need. Capture what you need, and let those things, the tools that you have for post-production, enhance what you've gotten, the information that you've gotten. Great question. I saw a question here earlier that I really, 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 really wanted to address. Give me 1 second. Thanks for time. Man, these are great questions, y'all. I didn't find the one that I was looking for, but here's a good one. This is from Sanai Jimenez. Hope I'm saying that right. Hey, Sanai. Hi, Kuk. How long do you think you can work with a singer without forcing him or her too much? How about the ideal resting time between takes? So that depends on, you know, that depends on the artist themselves. You can tell, like I can tell right away, uh, the the vocal stamina of an artist, when within like the first 15 or 20 minutes, if they've warmed up and all that kind of stuff. I can pretty much tell, like 20 minutes, half hour. If it's taken us a long time to get a line, it doesn't necessarily mean that the artist is gonna burn out, or they like their vocal cords, or their throat is in a bad place. It probably just means that the line that we're trying to get is kind of complicated, So at that point, if I realize that we've gotten maybe 10, 12 passes of a line, and it's still not feeling like I want it to feel, what I'll do is I'll just be like, yo, that's cool. Let's not, I don't want to burn you out, or I don't want to frustrate you or frustrate myself. Let's just keep moving. We'll always come back. We can always come back to that part. So we'll keep moving, and 9 times out of 10, that next section, because of where it is vocally, um, they they nail it. And what starts to happen is it's a building process. They nail that part. Then I go, all right, cool, let's move. And we keep moving, we keep moving, we keep moving. By the time we get to the end of the record, if things keep going smooth, um, which they usually do, the confidence is there. More than anything, their voice is warmed up more, and they also understand, if it's a record, like if it's an artist singing a record that they didn't write, by the time we get to the end of the record and how I've produced them, they understand more the characteristic of the record, and the vibe of the record, and the swag of the record, the pace of the record. So now we're set to go. All right. I was like, yo, we're good. How your voice feeling? They're like, man, I'm feeling good. They're confident. And I go, let's go back. Let's run back to that first part and just nail that again. And I would probably say 10 times out of 10, it always comes together, because now it's just a growing process. So it's but if you do find an artist that is having a hard time just vocally, you know, it's not cool to just keep pushing them. If they're not getting any of those sections, it's probably best to at that point assess what the problem could be. Is it maybe the artist just didn't know the record, they weren't familiar enough with the record, um, or they're thinking about the performance too much? Like, I can tell if somebody's thinking, I don't even have to see the artist, but I can tell if they're thinking about it. I could tell if they're standing with their hands in their pocket. I could tell if they're standing like this through their performance. So with all that, it's just going, all right, well, you just have to assess as the gatekeeper and as the vocal producer, go, you know what, man, let's take a few minutes. Why don't you just go from it? Because I can tell if an artist isn't familiar with a record, if I'm able to, because you can't always say to every artist, why don't you go and learn the song a little bit more? Like, you can't do that with every artist. Um, so if you can, you'd be like, yo, just go familiarize yourself with the record a little bit more, and then we'll come back to it. And you let them go learn it. If they need to take it, and you just reschedule another session for another day, fine. Or if they feel like they can knock it out, learn it a little bit more within like an hour or so, then you just take a little break, let them rest their voice from the drive that's been going on, and be like, yo, so in an hour we'll start up. And before they start up, you start giving them suggestions. Well, to help out, you go, so you're more familiar with it now. Why don't you drink some warm tea, just warm up your vocal cords a little bit, and don't worry about it. We got it. We'll get it. We'll always get it. So that's my approach, is just, we'll always get it. Like, it will always get done. So hope that helps you out. Man, I really want to find that one. There was a question, because I want to say, boom, boom, boom. Here it is. I got it. So this is a great question. They're all great. So this is from Secret Trends. Oh my God. What is that? I can't, Secret Trends something SNL. So sorry. But you know who you are. This question is dope. It said, hi, Kuk. Thanks for doing this. Love your work. I was wondering, what's the process with recording vocals? Do you start tracking verses or record the whole song first? How many takes do you record max? All right. So here's the thing. See, as a vocal producer, see yourself as, you're a detail person. We're in the detail business. The vocal that stands out, in my opinion, the vocals that people hear and go, holy shit, what is that? Those vocals are ones that you can tell that the artist and the vocal producer spent time on every single detail of that performance, the entire record. So if there's 3 ad libs in the beginning, we made sure that those 3 ad libs in the beginning, first and foremost, match spot on what the 3 ad libs were from the demo vocalist. So that, like, we didn't vary it. We don't vary it. As a vocal producer, you don't vary it. You don't change where the breaths are. If the breath is on the and of 3, you make sure that that breath is on the and of 3. So that's what I mean by the detail. So as a vocal producer, you have to train your ear to hear all of those things. So my theory, or the way I cut, is I always cut from the beginning. And this goes back to that emotional timeline thing that I was talking about, that at 1 minute and 50, not specifically, but at 1 minute 30 seconds, or within the 1 minute frame, it's supposed to feel like something to me emotionally. I can close my eyes and be like, yep, that's right. That's in the right place. And then when it gets to 3 minutes, like, oof, that's it. That feels right. So with that being the backdrop, I always make sure I start from the beginning so that everything has its right emotion. You don't have to, like, there's very few times I've never run into it. There's nobody that can sing a record from top to bottom, especially the way records are designed now. Like maybe, back in the day, you could probably do that when you just had a huge flowing ballad, or there weren't a lot of backgrounds involved in records. But now there's so many different things going on, and because there's so much detail that has to go into it that people are really trying to connect with, you have to make sure that you go through that record and just connect all the dots. So start from the beginning. If you need to get 3 ad libs in the beginning of the record, get those 3 ad libs. Once you get to the verse, find a natural place, like get the first line. It could be the first, depending on how it's written, it could be the first 3 lines that you can get in a chunk, but focus on those first 3 lines. If the artist is having a hard time, they get that first part of the first 3 lines, but they always kind of fall off at the end repeatedly. Now what you do is you just cut that down a little bit more. It's like, yo, all right, you're killing this front part. Now let's cut it down even more. Let me just get the first line. And what you're doing is you're making sure, make sure that you saving every single take. Be quick about your key commands, all that kind of stuff, and save every bit of information, because there could be something magical within one of the really messed up takes that they had, but you can always go back and get it. So line, section. So moral of the story, start from the beginning, get down to the end of the record. If they're able to, finish that record in one not in one session, but if they're in the booth, get as much information as you can while they're in the booth, so that their voice doesn't change while they get out of the booth. And a lot of times artists are really excited about, yo, I'm in my element, I'm in my zone. So that as a vocal producer, it behooves you to be at a place to where you know exactly what you're getting or what you're looking for. And more than that, you know how to drive the artist to where they don't feel beat up, or they don't feel like you're driving them too fast. Like I've had times where I go, yo, am I going too quick? Because I engineer my sessions as well. I don't have a person that I have to go stop or go back to there. I'm driving Pro Tools, so I know the pace of the artist. So and I move pretty fast. And if it's an artist that I've never worked with, I'll just do my normal drive so that I can keep things going. And once, if I feel like I may be going too fast, I'll just, yo, am I going too quick for you? And they go, no, I love it, I love it, I love it. And then we start to get into this rhythm. But to answer your question, to go back to it, start from the beginning, focus in on every single little detail, get to the end of that record. And at that point, now you've got all the information you need, the emotion, bells and whistles, get your ad libs, all that. And when the artist is gone, you want to feel extremely confident that you have everything you need before that artist walks out the door, because you may not ever get them back in the door again, because everything's moving so fast. They've got other records to cut, they're in with other producers. So, and you want to blow their socks off when they hear this record back from your post-production. So cool. Let's see. Pat Hundley, let's see. Pat actually has really two questions. I'll go through them real quick. Can you give us some tips on working with a vocalist that is being difficult or mad at themselves for not nailing a take? Thanks so much, from Vegas. I don't think I read that before. Thanks for that question, Pat. Yes. Like I said before, you're as a vocal producer, you're the one guy in the room that, like, you're the gatekeeper, and it's all about making sure that not just the artist, but everybody that comes in a room feels comfortable. So if you've got an artist that's in the booth, they're not nailing it, and they start getting heavy on themselves, my whole thing is like, yo, it's all good. Don't even sweat it. I got you covered. Like, just sing. And a lot of times what's happening is if they're starting to be difficult on themselves, I call that like, man, don't fall into quicksand. Like it becomes quicksand. So once you start thinking negative like that, you start it starts to decline even more. So my whole thing is it's always about encouragement. It's always about encouragement. Like it's never like back in the day, like old school people, like old school producers or whatever, back in the day, people would think that the best way to get a great performance out of somebody is to make them feel like, like, what are you doing? Like, come on, I know you can get this. It's like, lesson is you're never going to get a great performance out of anybody by discouraging them or beating them up or making them feel less than or making them feel worse than they already feel. This is like in life. If you continue to encourage, oh, you got this. No, you just not, learn how to present the information in a way that gives them direction, but also uplifts them. So it's like if they continually sing something flat, don't be at a place, don't be at a place where, what are you doing? Like, why do you keep singing that flat? The approach is you got it. Like the emotion is all right. That's totally it. But when you sing this note all the time, you always go a little flat. And my thing is, man, reach for everything on purpose. Sing everything on purpose. So what happens is that makes them start. I go, don't think about it. Just lay back, sing, shake it off, sing. Don't think about it, but reach for everything. So at that point, they see my body language. They see my body language, how I'm explaining it, and they go, oh, I get it. And now they know, shake it off. It's like, oh man, he's working with me. So when they see that give and that take, and that that just your approach on encouraging them, it lifts them up, and you're trying to make them feel like they can do anything. So encouragement is the key. All right, so let's see. We got one other question here. Wait, I had one more from hold on one second. One more question from Pat. I still like to use a booth, but others have been recording in the control room um, as of late. What are your thoughts on that, of this technique? We do the same thing. Like I do the same thing. I love using the booth so that I can hear that signal, through the speakers, and I can craft it and do all that stuff. But sometimes you just don't have that luxury. So um, I go back to you being a empty canvas, man. You got to do whatever it is you got to do for this artist to feel comfortable. Like if I want it to be on the speaker and they go, I don't want to record in the booth. I want to be in here with you. Let's put headphones on. We go, all right, cool. That's what we're doing. You have to adjust and just make it happen, because the goal is making sure they feel comfortable. And your goal is to make sure you have forward progress at all costs. All right, let's see what we got here. We got a couple more. Uh, let's see. Joseph Stallworth. Joseph says, "How do you get a great performance out of a not so great singer? Do you just try to fix it later in post?" I'm kind of That's a great question. For me, I don't know if I'm crazy or what, but my thing is, I'm not crazy. I like to encourage people. So I like to see that people I like to see their raw, because I know how I was and how I came up in the industry, or how I came up to be a vocal producer, and how I crafted the skill I have. I didn't have great talent, what some people would call great natural talent or whatever, but my thing is I like to see people's raw talent, and one of my challenges is to go, we can make magic out of that. So I'm kind of, I like that type of challenge. So if I have a singer that's not so great, of course I'm going to rely on the post production and the tricks, the things that we can do later on. But I'm going to try my best to make sure because it sharpens my tools to go, okay, that person isn't like a great singer, but I know that I know if I give them the right direction, they'll sing it the right way. And it always happens, always happens. It's just trying to figure out ways of getting people to be their best. Like if it's a singer that really doesn't sing or understand emotions of singing, but they have a musical sensibility. If they sing hard all the time just because that's what they've learned, my thing is, um, how do I let this person know you're like you sound like too harsh? The thing is, I'm just like, yo, sing it real soft. Just like don't think about it. Just don't be aggressive with it. Sing it sexy. And when you say words like that, they go, oh, sexy, And you can also use yeah, just words like that. It's like, yo, sing it sexy. And they go, oh, sexy, like breathy. And you go, yeah. And they go, all right, blah, 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 and then it never fails. They always, always, always get it. So it's just a matter of how committed are you as a vocal producer to make something work. That's my thing. I just like to see things progress. I like to see things start from small and blow up, and because you have great satisfaction when you listen back to that product. Let's see. Okay, this is a cool question, a great question. Durez Shahini, Durez Shahini. At what sample rate do you record? It as of late, I've been recording at 96 and 96K and 32-bit, whatever, whatever that is. I'm not the technical dude. I just know that, I just know what works for me. So lately I've been recording at 96. I know that for me, I don't know all the technical jargon and all that kind of stuff, but a lot of engineers or some people would say that you can't hear the difference, and stuff like that. And then there's a science of it. You recorded that, but then it's going to get squashed back down. Um, for for me, I can hear some sort of difference. I think it's a for me the 96 32-bit, it has a wider, um, it just has a wider sound, and it's more present, it's more full. Um, and because I'm not the technical guru like that, I just know that that's what I'm hearing. I could be completely wrong, but that's what I'm going with, and it works for me. And the results are really cool when people hear back what I do. So that's that. Um, let's see. Wiggle room. When you record, do you usually do full passes of the song, or that goes back to the other thing I said. I never do a full pass all the way down. IL says, do you use vocal line or tend to align vocals manually? I do not use vocal line at all, because my approach to vocals is all about, um, it's all about emotion. It's all about feeling really authentic. Even though everything is tuned, there's still a way to tune a vocal that sounds really organic. So with vocal line, I don't use vocal line, because when I have an artist stack vocals and do background vocals to a lead, I'm actually capturing it the way it needs to be. So I'm never, ever, ever, ever relying on post-production tools to create what I need. I create what I need with the singer, because I know I've got magic. I know I've captured magic. I know I've captured lightning in a bottle, and my post-production is going to enhance that. Let's see here. Great questions, y'all. Producer Bruno says, knowing that vocalists need to be aware of what they um, eat and drink before, during a session. Any advice on what you do to keep the talent's energy up during the vocal session? Simply is just making sure I have the environment in the studio really, really exciting and chill. Like, for me, like if I come in the studio, when I show up, if I've got any kind of baggage, um, personal baggage, whatever, anything, I check all that. Like none of that stuff. I don't care what's going on. None of that stuff enters the studio with me because this is the place, like this is my space where I get to just be me. The artist just gets to be them. So my thing is keep the atmosphere light. I've had times where I've had maybe an engineer or an assistant or maybe I don't know, it could be, you know, a runner or something. If I feel like their energy or their vibe is not that of what I need to be around me the whole time, I will politely ask them, I'm good. Can you just wait out? You know, you do that because and also I'm protecting the environment for, not also, but mostly I'm protecting that environment for the artist. You know, I said this in some other in some other interviews I did, that artists are extremely intuitive. Like they know they can walk into a room of 5 people and just kind of, you know, without talking to anybody, you know, they could sense, or maybe talk to somebody for a second, they can kind of be like, what, the vibe is weird on that person. And when you have stuff like that, it makes the artist go, well, I don't know if I can really be myself. So at that point they start to, you know, withdraw. And you know, now, I don't want to wasted session. So at that point I just be like, hey, can I get everybody to just clear out? Just give me and the artist, like, give us 45 minutes so we can just dive into this record, capture our magic, get us going. And then once we take a break or something like that, then and I kind of see that the artist is cool, I'll ask the artist like, yo, is it cool for everybody if they all come back in the room? And the artist is like, yeah, it's cool. And then I'm like, now we're good. So now we've set our tone and we don't have any weird energy getting into what it is we're setting out to create. Let me go back up top. Connor, I am, Sinai, Curtis. Uh, Great stuff, y'all. Great stuff. What up, Sam Flood? Shout out. Man. Let's see. Will Star says, what's the best reverb plugin uh, you have in use? Wait. What's the best reverb plugin you have used? Man, you know, for me, I don't actually settle in on one reverb. Like it depends on what I'm hearing in my head. And it also depends on, like, I'm in a great position because I get so many different sessions from so many different producers. So if, you know, like when I get a session, if it's a plugin in that session that they created a specific sound for, and if I don't have that reverb or that plugin, I have to go and get that plugin, because when I send that record back, I want our vocals to have the exact same characteristic of that record. You know, it's like, you know, I don't know if this makes sense to anybody, but you can shoot a great movie, but if the movie is edited wrong, that could kill the movie. So it's the same thing. Like if somebody sends me something with a specific reverb on it, and I use a different reverb and I don't try to carve out that exact sound, I just kill the movie. I just kill the record, and I kill the performance for that producer. And the producer's like, well, I mean, the performance is cool, but it just don't sound right. It's like, because I didn't do my job as a vocal producer to make sure that I captured what they gave us. Let's see. Nathan Mack says, what is your checklist for capturing, editing, and editing a life-changing vocal? Which details make a performance life-changing? The details that make a performance life-changing, I would say the first one is just capturing emotion. Let it be about the emotion. Let it be about the passion of the singer. Don't just do a stagnant, just like just notes. Don't let it be about just capturing notes. Like when the artist is singing, even with auto tune on, like when I track with auto tune, auto tune's there, but it's not so tight that mistakes don't happen. I like for it to be loose enough, um, to where we're capturing the notes, but we're also letting mistakes happen, because a lot of times those mistakes are vibe and their passion and they're special things that nobody else can do. So you want to just think in terms of emotion and passion. Those are the things that make great performances. See what we got. Guys, do we have time for one more or are we good? Yeah, absolutely. Let's no problem. See what we got here. Connor say hold up. Oh, so I got two more. I want to do two more. Juan Curtis says, hello from Florida. Hey, hope you're safe in Florida. I live in Florida too. Hope you're not near the fires that were happening the other day, but it's good. Said, what or who inspires you as a producer? So like coming up in the game, 100% producers that inspired me were Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, Quincy Jones, LA and Babyface, Rod Temperton, oh my gosh, I don't know the guy's name, but I would probably say the group, but whoever produced like the Def Leppard records, whoever produced Van Halen records, whoever produced Rush albums, like those people inspired me and they gave me it's a like and jazz producers, like they gave me like this toolbox of audio colors that I use that go into my production all the time. The last one, um, let's see. I've answered like 5 of Connor's questions, but I like this. How do you deal with big egos and a lot of producers? How do you deal with big egos and a lot of producers? The bottom line is just be an open canvas, use your people skills. We are in a business to where it's all about, it's all about emotion and the things that we create. The things we create are our babies. So everybody just know that everybody's really, really, really tied to those things emotionally, um, financially, like resource wise. So just make sure, just work at using your basic people skills of just knowing, like just not having an ego, so not having an ego disarms egos in other people. So it's just like, man, we're all here to do something, to make something great that could be life changing and industry changing. So that's that. How do you match? This is mixed by DLLC. How do you match tone when moving from studio to studio? That just becomes a ear thing, a EQ thing. You're sitting there listening to it and you go, man, that sounds different. There's plugins that will do that for you as well. But for me, I'm kind of crazy. I like the challenge. I like sitting down going, yo, I can fix that. I can fix it. I can so I'll just sit there and dial it in until I know, man, that shit sounds exactly like the other one. So yeah, it's just like sitting down, doing whatever you got to do, something like that. Rely on the gear. Like if you don't have the time or the patience to sit there and dial in all these different frequencies to make stuff match, then by all means, man, use the gear. Cool. Let's see what we got. We got more? We good. Uh, So, man, guys, thank you so much for all of these amazing questions. Hold on one second. Adam Bryant, thank you so much. My recovery from cancer has gone amazing, and thank you for the congrats on that. Going through that process and getting through it, and being able to be right here with y'all. So, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Cook. Thanks for doing it. It's been amazing. Thanks, guys, for joining in, and please stay home and stay safe at the moment.
Yes, stay safe.
It's been amazing, and we hope to do much more with you, Cook. And soon we'll have a video out where you're
Cool.
breaking down and explaining your process. So that will be very exciting, and
Cool.
hopefully we'll do more in the future.
Cool. And if everybody do me a favor, go follow me on Instagram, official Kuk Harrell. And let's follow me and let's talk. I always try to get back to everybody and answer questions and stuff like that. But official Kuk Harrell, Instagram. Talk to you.
Thanks so much. Bye bye.
All right. Bye-bye.